The Texans lost to the Tennessee Titans 41-38. Now, they just found a new way to lose this game. Oh, like, Jesus. Like, it wasn't the typical someone fumbling thing this time. They went up with 18 seconds. No, they tied the game with 18 seconds left, to set up overtime. One play is all it took for this god awful Texans defense to blow this game. And I even said on Twitter, after Kaimi Fairbairn surprisingly made the 51-yard field goal to tie the game, I said, okay, now how is the defense going to blow this one? If the game would have gone to overtime and the Titans would have got the ball, then, I could definitely see the defense blowing the game there. But for them to find a way to blow the game with 18 seconds left, wow. Wow. And great play by A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's a great receiver. He reminds me of younger me back in my playing days, back in, the 82 Doritos Bowl. I made a catch similar to that. But, still, why in the world would you have one-on-one coverage with A.J. Brown that late in the game with 18 seconds to go? Damn well they're going deep. They're not going to go there and kneel the ball. They're not going to hand it off to Derrick Henry. They're not going to play for overtime. 18 seconds, 3 timeouts. Damn well they're going to throw the ball deep. But you just left the middle of the field wide open. Yeah, I am so glad that Romeo Crennel and Anthony Weaver and everyone else on this coaching staff will be gone by the end of tomorrow. No one deserves to stay. Everyone in that front office should be gone. Everyone on the coaching staff should be gone. And everyone in the cafeteria, everyone in the training room, the janitors, the custodian, everyone gone. They should all be gone because this is god awful. If the Texans were a decently coached team this year, just decently coached, they would have beat Tennessee twice. They would have beat Indianapolis twice. They would have beat Cincinnati last week. They would have beat Cleveland. They would have beat Pittsburgh. They would have beat Minnesota. That's how many close games the Texans have been in this year. And in every game, they had a legitimate shot to win, but, coaching matters. And if the Texans get a decent coach, they're going to be right back in the playoffs next year. Because, the gap between Tennessee / Indianapolis and Houston isn't as big as, other people make it out to be. You got some people out here saying, oh my god, the Texans are 4 years away from going back to the playoffs. No, they're not. Just hire the right coach and you're in. Who the right coach is, well, I'll drop another video on that. They'll probably not get the right... They probably won't hire a coach until after, certain teams are eliminated from playoff contention, because from the sounds of it, the top 2 coaches that the Texans want are from 2 teams that are currently in the playoffs. Now, when they'll get eliminated, that's yet to be seen. And I won't really talk about that till, I don't know, maybe later this upcoming week. We're officially in off-season mode, and I honestly don't know how to feel about that. Usually I'm used to off-season not starting until mid-January. But here we are, early January. Off-season has officially begun, but I am happy about it. Now, as far as this game goes, though, defensively, Derrick Henry, 200 rushing yards for the 3rd straight game that he's played against the Texans. Yes, I understand. 2019 season finale, the Texans rested all their starters, but yeah, still, 2 straight games, I guess, if you want to be fair. 2 straight games of Derrick Henry rushing for 200 yards on this Texans defense. That's god-awful. pass defense. I mean, Tannehill didn't have to throw much, but I mean, if they wanted to, they could have. I mean, you guys saw on the last play there where AJ Brown. Yeah, but when Tannehill wanted to, he'd find the open guys, and yeah, Tannehill was running the same play over and over. Well, I wouldn't say over and over again, but they kept running the same read option play with Tannehill keeping the ball and running, and it kept working and working and working. Like, the Texans are absolute morons for continuing to fall for the same plays over and over and over and over again. Like, yeah, it's sad, I guess, but it is what it is. At least the season's over now. Offensively, Deshaun Watson. He is a stud. We already knew that. Watson, actually, today, with the game he had today, he finished as the NFL's leading passer. And yes, it is due to Mahomes not playing this game, but still, Watson being the NFL's leading passer is pretty awesome. Not only that, last week, Deshaun Watson passed Matt Schaub for the most passing touchdowns in a season by a Texans quarterback. And today, against Tennessee, he passed Matt Schaub for most passing yards in a season by a Texans quarterback. So that's pretty cool. Watson's kind of inking himself into the Texans record books, in the lost season, in a season where everyone said Deshaun Watson wasn't going to be good because, he lost DeAndre Hopkins. Watson had his best season yet. And funny thing is, Arizona Cardinals are not making the playoffs. So, whenever Houston got eliminated from the playoff contention, 3-4 weeks ago, DeAndre Hopkins laughed at the Texans. Well, who's laughing now, D-Hop? You're sitting on your ass, on your couch, just like the Texans, watching the playoffs as well. Sucks to suck, buddy. Anyways, back to the Texans offense. Deshaun Watson, we already know what he can do. Great player. He's going to be a stud, and whoever is his next coach is going to be lucky to have him, and he's going to lead us to a bunch of more playoff appearances starting next year. Someone I really, really have to talk about, though, is Brandon Cooks, and I'll probably talk about him more further in depth, in another video, because there is questions surrounding his future in Houston. But Brandon Cooks had a very, very good game. He finished with 2 touchdowns, over 10 catches, and I want to say over 160 yards. He had a very, very good game. Deshaun Watson, he obviously seems to trust him, and rightfully so. I mean, Brandon Cooks is a good receiver. He's only had one bad season in the NFL, and that was last year. But everyone was trashing him, oh, Brandon Cooks sucks. Why would they trade for Brandon Cooks? No, Brandon Cooks is a good receiver. He just happened to have one bad season in a season where his quarterback Jared Goff was really struggling. So it really wasn't his fault that he had a bad season. But he comes with Deshaun Watson, and he has a really good season. I believe almost over 70 catches, over 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns. I'm not looking at the stats. That's just the stats I have off the top of my head. It's something close to that, but not exact, but still those are good numbers for a guy who was, for a majority of the season, wide receiver 2. Because keep in mind, Will Fuller was wide receiver 1, but these last few weeks, Cooks has been the wide receiver 1, even though he missed didn't he miss a few games? He missed 1 game, I believe. But yeah, I think Cooks did a really good job today, and Kiki QT also had a pretty good game. And I think Pharaoh Brown also had a decent game. I think Brown is definitely someone that you should look into keeping, over a guy like Darren Fells. I feel like Pharaoh Brown is a better, younger version of Darren Fells. Last year, I believe Fells had 7 red zone touchdowns. This year, Darren Fells kind of disappeared. So maybe your tight ends going into next year should be Pharaoh Brown, Jordan Akins, and Kahale Waring, or maybe whoever the next coach is brings in someone else to be tight end. I wouldn't be mad at that, but Pharaoh Brown has definitely earned himself a, opportunity for next year, in my opinion, on this team. Now, another guy worth talking about, David Johnson. David Johnson had a pretty decent game as well today. Probably over 100 yards from scrimmage. He did have a touchdown. I feel like he's really come alive. Well, late. But like he's come alive these past 2 weeks. Or he came alive the last 2 weeks of the season against Cincinnati and here against Tennessee. He had a decent game. Even though he didn't like go over 100 rushing yards, he did have a pretty good game with like 81 yards. He had like a few pretty big carries. So, yeah, David Johnson sucks that, he came to play the last 2 weeks but didn't show up the other 14 weeks, which is why I believe that David Johnson should not be, in the future plans for the Texans. And it's something we're going to talk about later on in the offseason, like plans for certain players, players like Brandon Cooks, players like J.J. Watt, Randall Cobb, Eric Murray, and stuff like that. But, I'll bunch some of them in together, and other ones I'll kind of like separate, like the bigger ones, like JJ might get his own video, and Brandon Cooks might get his own video too, and, maybe I might get my own video. But, I mean, yeah, it sucks the way the game ended. What else can I say? Glad the season's over. Disgusting season. Glad 2020's over. Disgusting year as a whole, man. Disgusting Texans season, like, jumbled up together with a disgusting year. Like, just glad all that's over and, like, we're able to, I guess, just move forward. And here in the coming weeks, hopefully hire ourselves a good GM, someone like myself, and then, hire a good head coach, like someone like Ruben, from 713 Houston Sportscast. So, like, yeah, me and Ruben will lead this team to 0-16 together, and hopefully you guys support us in that. But anyways, that's all I have for you guys for today. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.